Truth is the topic we're going to discuss now. Truth is so dear to my heart. Truth as against fact and presumption. Truth is the thing that is the foundation. Truth is the source. Truth is the origin. Truth is the foundation. But what is on the left, that is on the side of memory, on the side of religion and mysticism, is fact. And on the other side, the side of science, the side of imagination, the side of art, what is there is presumption, prediction, prophecy. And that is not the narrow way. The narrow way, the hard way, or the middle way is the center. That which deals with 10 to 30% of the brain. 10 to 30% of the brain is what I call truth. That's what I call verism. That's what I call verity. That's what I call veracity. That is the middle way. That is the great way. That is the mountaintop. That is the highest way. That's the place where if you attain it, you don't talk about mysteries anymore. You don't talk about secrets anymore. But if you are on the path of fact, the path of generation, Genesis, then you are 3 to 1% of the brain. And if you are on the side of presumption, prediction, then you are on the path of science. And that is 1 to 3% of the brain. And 3 to 1% of the brain and 1 to 3% of the brain are just at the ebb, are just there, low, the valley, the abyss. That's what they are called. And they are low. They are away from the center. Someone said the narrow way is a way. Yes. The middle way, the narrow way, the hard way. I call it the hard way because that's where once you attain 10% of the brain and above, everything is clear. You live in the present. You don't talk about past and future because everything is here and now. Because past and future are just for memory and imagination. But if you are a being, a divine being, the divine being deals with the present, the here and now, always here and now, always the present. So when you talk about past and future, then you can talk about mystery because that's darkness. Past and future, darkness and blindness. You can talk about mysteries. You can talk about secrets. You can talk about obscurities because you are only saying that I am ignorant of this thing I'm talking about. Because if a thing is mysterious to you, why do you talk about it, for goodness sake? Why do you discuss what is mysterious to you? For crying out loud. Because you are ignorant of that thing you're talking about. Why do you sell ignorance? Why do you market ignorance? To extort money from people and market ignorance. You call it a mystery. Why do you think you should talk about a mystery? If a thing is a mystery, you don't talk about it. You have no right to stand before the people talking about mystery. Because you are dealing with something you don't know. And you are dealing with guesswork. Even the Bible you are reading, the scripture you are reading, calls the thing a mystery. What right does the Bible have to deal with something it calls a mystery? Are you not selling ignorance to me? Because a mystery or a secret or an obscurity or an absoluteness, that is something you don't know. And you must say, I am ignorant of this. I am a fool in this area. So I cannot go into it. Because an ignorant person is a fool. If you are dealing with something that you don't know, you are a fool. Anybody dealing with something that is a mystery, to you, to the person dealing with it, you are a fool. Because you don't do that. You don't get people to believe in you. You don't hypnotize people to believe in you. And then you are selling to them mystery, secrets. How do you know that the thing you are telling them is not going to kill them as it is killing Nigerians? As it has ruined their economy, our economy is down because people who know, professors and theologians, they are dealing with mysteries. They are teaching mysteries. Mystery. That's what you are teaching. And you call yourself a professor and you call yourself a theologian. But you stand before the people, you say, this is a mystery. But you are preaching about it. You are teaching about it. You are telling people to take notes. You are telling people to record it. A mystery is what you are teaching. And you are calling on people to take note, calling on children who depend on you to take note. Why are you doing this? Because you are 1 to 3% of the brain, or 3 to 1% of the brain, memory and imagination, darkness and blindness. That's where you are, and that's why you are in trouble. But if you rise up to 10% of the brain and above, then you can teach. Then you are a sage. Not just a philosopher, not just a theologian, but a sage. And then you can teach. Then you can bring light, clarity and lucidity, not darkness and blindness, clarity and lucidity. That exists. That is there, a part of man, the sector of the heart, the sector that's called the narrow way, the sector that's called the heart way, the middle way. That sector deals with 10% of the brain and above. And the other sectors, memory and imagination, 3 to 1% of the brain, 1 back to 3% of the brain. That is blindness and darkness. That's catastrophe and disaster. That is hell and suffering. How can you do that? How can you teach me? How can you claim to teach me? And you talk about the things you are teaching me is a mystery to you. That's a crime. People like that should be locked up. Because you shouldn't talk about, you shouldn't teach mystery. You shouldn't teach what is a secret. That you just copying from the book that said it and then teaching it to people. Say it's a mystery, I don't know it. This is terrible. And that's what is killing Nigeria. Nigeria will continue to go down. The world will continue to go down so long as mysteries are being taught by people who claim to be anything. That is the truth about it. So please, this is the truth. I expect responses. I expect comments from you. If you like what we're saying, please respond. Let us know. Let us hear what you say about it. I thank you very much for listening.